Maybe he'll pop in here. I don't know. I've only got the 2 followers. We'll see what happens. Let us do. Yeah, I'll need that up. Let me open you up a little bit more. I guess I can't change that since I am already in, but that's okay. Just have it over here like this. I don't know. Trying to work with an OBS window that isn't being very cooperative right now is kind of fun. But there's that. I can turn all of that to there. And then I can have that much opened up. That way I can at least see my feed on how it looks. I can adjust the camera. It's gonna be a good one. So I actually made the tokens that you see before you with my actual players, their tokens that they have on their stuff. So yeah, it's something that I just did. I think I did a pretty spot on job with it, quite honestly. But yeah, it's something else that I have. I've also been working on some of my mercenaries stuff with the different factions and everything. That is one thing that I kind of wanted to go over with at some point. I'm definitely going to be broadcasting my GM turns in this. I'll be posting those up onto YouTube as well. And yeah, all of that stuff. I'm quite excited to see how this is all going to turn out. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the factions and the corporations and things in this. I have some really fun ones in here, ones that I've been really excited to actually get out there into a game. Really, I built some of these for an IRL game that I was planning on doing. That kind of fell apart, unfortunately. I had some people move and change jobs and all that fun stuff. It's still something that could happen. It's just trying to get everything squared up to where it can happen is the main thing, really. But yeah, so I have a couple that in here that I really absolutely love. They are the Merchants of Linjor, which is my big kind of overarching military organization. They, they're kind of loosely based off of who was it in the other game? Trying to remember who it was in Adam that Sicarian was a part of. I don't really remember who it was. It's been a while since I watched Stars Without Numbers, the Swan Song show that I know I mentioned earlier in this, which again I recommend if you want to check out a really good Stars Without Numbers stream. That's a really good one to do it with. I honestly I can't remember for the life of me what his was called. It's Pfotenhauer Society. I got it. Woo! It was super important that I remember that one. But these guys are called the Merchants of Linjor. They hail from the planet Indy, which I was actually going over this with one of my players the other day because they were asking about mercenary crews and things like that. Indy is a system that is actually located in the 0.00 sector. So all the way up here in Nizam. And of course I'm going to use my player-controlled one over here, so you're going to see different colors pop up all over the place. I guess I could change that. Change that to where it doesn't matter which one I'm on. That way it always looks the same. Let's see here. I could do there. Yeah, looks exactly the same. Now we'll never know which one I'm actually clicking on, except for the one that I'm clicking on that you can see in the stream is the one that, you know, is the player version. But my players won't know. Ooh, Trixie. But yes, they hail from the planet Indy. So in Stars Without Numbers, one of the really kind of fun overarching themes is humanity's abilities to survive after certain events. One of these is called the Scream, which was this big shift of metadimensional energy that ripped through space. It ripped through the entire galaxy. I think it's like 16 minutes, so about a quarter of an hour, a little bit over that. And so it just shows you the rate of speed at which this sucker tore through space and time. And basically what it did is it disrupted psychic powers and psychic entities across the entirety of space. No one knows what caused it. It's not even really talked about in the book, which I have right here, and I have free versions as well. It doesn't mention anything about like what caused the scream and the silence that followed afterwards, or anything along those lines. It just, the scream happens. Psionic individuals suffer horribly in what's going on, and it just kind of happened. So before that time, though, there was the Golden Age of Man and the exploration of space. Basically, what they did is after the invention of the spike drive, humanity branched out. Earth itself was recovering from several horrible nuclear wars that had occurred. So everybody on Earth was looking to get the hell out of Dodge, essentially. And they were able to do that by building these massive ships. Now, there were several different organizations that were out there. There was essentially the European Union. There was also a coalition of Asian countries, North America, South America. Basically, your major continents had their own space endeavors that were going on at one point, at least how I feel. It probably happened. The Commonwealth nations, minus like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, things like that, they kind of reformed as the quote-unquote British Empire. The Neo-British Empire is essentially what happened at some point. And what's up? How's it going, Kyle? And basically, these different powers just were spreading through everything. And one of the things that they did was, once they got to a planet, they conquered it. Now, Indy, that is there now. It is now a predominantly German-speaking organization, which the original merchants of Linjor, they are from a ship that was called the Linjor, and they were from southern Germany, and they were a part of the European Union Space Organization, essentially. And after the scream happened in the subsequent silence, they were just drifting along. They had some very intelligent individuals who were able to repair the spike drive so they could limp through space. And they came to the planet Indy. And the people who were on planet Indy, they were predominantly of the Southeast Asia and Chinese organization, the space organization that was there, that formed that coalition. And essentially, the merchants of Linjor, they were very well equipped. They had their merchant marines that were on there as well, who their sole job was to defend the Linjor. They had power armor and things like that. They had basically 7 guys, which is why there's 7 different units of the merchants of Linjor. these 7 guys were able to go down and subsequently help take over the the planet of Indy. They didn't change the name of it because they are by far, they were the racial minority at the time. But this is now almost 1,000 years after the point. Even during the golden age of man, racial differences had been lessening ever so slightly, just because, the dominant traits will come out all through. So everybody now in the year 3200 has kind of that very beige space look to them. There's certain individuals that have more, those stronger kind of ethnic qualities to them. Like there's people that look maybe, slightly a little bit more Eastern European in descent, or slightly more, Oriental, Eastern Asian, things like that. Everyone, it kind of became, for me as an American, I have very hard times telling basically anybody's ethnic origin, because as an American, I've seen a lot of America. I've been all over. Everybody to me looks like they could be from America. Even when I traveled through Europe for a good amount of time, it was very difficult for me to tell the difference between somebody that was of Eastern European descent when I was in France. I was in Paris for a little while. I literally can't tell you the difference between an ethnic French person and somebody that's Russian. I myself, traveling around, I've been spoken to in more languages than I care to mention. They're all European languages, but people think I'm from everywhere. I don't know why. I don't think I look French. I know I look German. I know that one. But I don't think I look Italian. I've had people speak to me in Italian as I walk around New York City asking me where things are. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not Italian. I don't speak that language. I'm so sorry. But here, let me jump that back over because I got somebody else jump in. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, just that aspect of it, and I kind of find that kind of cool. Hey, that's big. Let's zoom that out just a little bit. Right there. And basically that's kind of where we're at now with how everyone looks. Everyone looks very much that kind of space beige, with some racial variance here and there, but it's not enough. Like, racism isn't really a thing anymore in the year 3200 or in Stars Without Numbers. That's kind of one of the things that I kind of like in this game, is it's like, okay, everyone's on an even footing. We're all humans. The only thing we hate are, the people who live on this one planet. We don't like them. They have like real Hatfield McCoy sort of relationships, which is kind of interesting and funny. And then they also, hate, big crime syndicates. There's people that really hate different corporations, things like that. But anyway, back to the Merchants of Linjor. So, as I mentioned, there were these 7 guys that were a part of the Merchants of Linjor. They are what started the... hey, my computer decided it wanted to be a piece of shit, apparently, and respond to everything being at the level of shittiness that it's at right now, because apparently my graphics card stopped working. That's exciting, but it was successfully recovered. Display driver stopped responding and has recovered. Display driver in the video Windows kernel mode driver stopped responding and has successfully been recovered. Well, that's at least good. Makes that screen look all goofy. I'll fix that. Okay, good. But yeah, there were these 7 individuals that were in control of the Merchant Marines that were there, and they all had different insignias on their things. Some of them have been lost to antiquity, which will be probably one of the things, depending on what my players do, if they decide to, buddy up with the merchants for any reason whatsoever, then there's a good chance that we'll go find some of these different, things that are out there. But some of them are, still known. Like there's a group that's called the Demon Busters. That individual was really big into what I feel like, Oni, Japanese sort of mythologies sort of thing. So like probably have like demon faces on all of their stuff. And this one guy, I just like to imagine there's this one just badass merchant marine that's running around in the middle of space and, the 2900s, who just, is this big German guy, and he's just running around with an Oni mask on and just scaring the living shit out of people. There's also Crow's Commandos. So essentially, Crow's someone who was very big into Odin worship, probably. There's a group that's called Braddock's Bad Boys. It's a one of the colonels in the group. Her name is Braddock. She has an all-male battalion underneath her, essentially, that she controls. And that's just what it goes by. That's what they call it. They change the name out every time that somebody else comes in. There's a group that does robots. So it's not AI, it's going to be UI, or not artificial intelligence. What's the other? Virtual intelligence. So it's a bunch of virtual intelligence that they have. They don't use Maltech. They don't have nanobots or anything like those lines. But they, have different drone officers. They have things like that. It's basically the tech guys is what robot control is. It's IT, but it's IT with guns. So they get to have a lot of fun there. There's also Armageddon Unlimited. Now these guys I'm pretty excited for. They're the badasses of the whole organization. They're essentially the shock troops that get sent in. They basically operate with pure military impunity. They have nobody that talks against them. But everybody wants to be a part of Armageddon Unlimited if you're in the Merchants of Linjor, because they're the guys that see all the action. Most of these guys, don't make it very long, but the ones that are around and have been in the Merchants for a long time, they have some really good stories. We have Larson's Brigade, which is another. They're kind of similar to the Bad Boys. They're just another military organization. They might be utilized for VIP security. Like if there's a military coup, they'll probably get called in to protect the outgoing individuals, like the outgoing law order. Like if a monarchy gets overthrown, they're going to call in, and it's either going to be the Bad Boys or Larson's Brigade that'll come in to be a part of that. And then there's the Shadow Warriors. So one of the other things that the Merchants are a part of is they do assassinations, espionage, different things like that. So the Shadow Warriors are the ones that do those things. They have high-ranking psychics in there. They have a bunch. Actually, in every single one, they have high-ranking psychics. There's different things in each one. So hopefully this is something that my players will want to be involved with. They might have somebody who's from that. I don't think we have anybody in right now, because I know we have the Psychic, who is part of one of the Psychic Academies. I have 2 experts. Neither of them are from the Merchants. My Warrior, they are a small-time mercenary that operated more with the other organization we're going to talk about tonight, which is called the Feng Syndicate. That's Feng, which that one, again, with the way that I appreciate the art that was created by Adam Coble, I kind of modeled them slightly, not anything that could be, like, oh yeah, it's this exact same thing, except for the fact that it's big crime syndicate. They have 26 different families that are all a part of it. They come from a warlord background. Even though the planet that they're from is not warlords, it doesn't have that backing on it. Basically, there's a lot of infighting that goes on. There's a lot of backstabbing to move your way up into the world. And essentially how it works is whatever the highest ranking family is, they get to call the syndicate that. So right now, the Feng family has been in control for a number of years, later to be determined, and they are the ones that everyone wants to see fall and topple. The player who was a part of the syndicate, which is also what I like to call it, they worked for one of the very lowest ranking families, who are called the Pendarves, which they are associated with, like local gun running. They do some prostitution. They don't touch the drugs at all, which is really the bigger issue with the syndicate. They've done human trafficking, which is probably the most horrible thing that anyone could ever do. But in the grand scheme of the syndicate, it's not that bad. But there's 26 different families that are a part of that. The top 24 are the ones that are able to move around and do things, that are able to progress and decline in the hierarchy of the families. They all work as a solid, cohesive unit for the sake of the faction turn, the DM turn that'll be happening at the end of every month in-game. But there are two that are down at the bottom that are kind of like the initiate side of things. They're called the Forsaken and the Ashes. Now, the Forsaken, they are the group that my warrior player, Sue, who you can see in the thing, she is going to be playing Ann Sun is her character's name. She was involved in a mercenary crew. That mercenary crew, they would have been involved and a part of the Forsaken clan, essentially, because they're a crew that's attempting to gain notoriety. They are basically freelancers for it. The Ashes, that's the next step up. You're going to be involved in more, seedy things. Basically, Forsaken's like, okay, here, you can cut your teeth on it. If you do a good job, we'll see about getting you up into the Ashes. And then once you get past the Ashes, then the other families can basically they get your information after you prove yourself in the Ashes, and you become essentially a contract worker for the syndicate. You can do other things. Your crew has a contract with the syndicate. They have to meet with somebody, one of the families, do a low-level job. You get into the Forsaken, you're there for a while, then you can move up into the Ashes, and then from that point, each individual person can be contacted by, a mid-level sergeant or lieutenant in one of the other gang families that are out there, and they can get their own private contract out there, and they become a freelancer. Now, if you are able to survive in that, you can actually be adopted into one of the families, depending on what your social standing is with that particular lieutenant, how well you perform in different things. So it works a lot like how medieval families used to work, where you could adopt people in. So the blood relationship in these families, almost none. Like, they all started out originally as like cohesive family groups. Like, there was a family that actually were called the Pendarves. They were a real family at one point. They controlled this aspect on this planet that they were all from. The planet they all originated on, one second, is called Latiri. That is in 0.08, which let me... Ooh, hey, what's going on here? Oh, that's weird. Let me take you over there. Maybe I'll take you over there. My GM one is being a little weird right now. I don't know what's going on there. That's okay. Maybe it's just because of how... Oh, that's interesting. Let me refresh. Let me refresh the pages here. Ignore. Yeah. I don't want to do the fucking tutorial. I've done the tutorial. Yeah, I think it's just because when my driver crashed, I have to just reload things. There we go. Okay. Got my other thing up and running again. But they are in, what did I say, 08? Yes, 08 is where they are. So they're down here in the Nor sector, is where they're located at. And, you know, basically kind of the thing about their planet, 08, Nor, Latiri. Their planet, it's a very thick atmosphere. It's a temperate climate, so, you know, it institutes itself for a lot of things. It's one of the older it's one of the older settled planets in the system. So before it was actually utilized as the base of the syndicate, there was the reason why I chose this as theirs is because it got the tag progressive, which I'm going to take that in completely the worst way possible, because they're progressive towards everything. If you want something on Latiri, it's not a question of its legality, it's a question of how much money you have. And they also have heavy industry as one of their tags. So it's like, okay, how can I make this work? Because typically, you know, if you have a heavy industrial area, it's not necessarily going to be very progressive in, you know, the way that we think of, you know, standard socioeconomic standings. But if you think about it as the base of this huge, monstrous crime syndicate, it makes perfect sense, because all of the drug manufacturing is going on here. Everything's legal. It's what it is. They have their heavy industry that's being done, and it works out perfectly. This is also one of the planets that got one of the interesting languages that I have. So I basically did the top 20 languages in the world. Is what I did. If I had anything that doubled over, like if it was Chinese, which that accounts of the top 20, I think it counts for like 5. You can go Google that. You can look it up on your own time. Essentially, I just cut that out and essentially kept it just as Chinese for the sake of keeping things simplified, because I kind of figure that by the year 3200, that particular language, much like other languages, is going to be simplified down, because that's what languages do. In my study of linguistics that I've done just a little bit of, you see that language itself has become more and more simplified as time progresses. And, you know, I feel that with the setting of this particular game, it would fit that natural cause and natural arc of linguistics. So Latiri is kind of an interesting one, because they actually speak Urdu, is what they speak. Again, I am fairly certain that in Adam Kobol's game they did. This was all by coincidence. Or no, was it Farsi? They either spoke Farsi or Urdu. I think they spoke Farsi. But again, it's, you know, kind of similar. I know it's not similar at all to, you know, anything that's social or political, but for the sake of game to game, like looking at apples to apples here, it's kind of weird that they got a very unique Middle Eastern language, as did the game that I like and love for Stars Without Numbers. That's a major posting and screening of it. So it's kind of funny in that sense. But their climate, you know, they have a temperate climate, so the whole planet is very easy to live on for the most part. It's just slightly smaller than Earth. There's only a few in this whole thing that are about the size of Earth, really. Yeah, there's one, and people can't live on it. There's another one that some people have lived on. But, yeah. Let's 08, there we go. Yeah, so Latiri, it's just a little bit smaller than Earth is. It has a very thick atmosphere, which again, some of that can be contributed to, you know, this heavy industry that's happening here. They probably, you know, just through drug production, like, I just imagine there's like big factories that are just literally there to produce drugs. There's several that are used in my setting. One of them, I actually do like addiction rules and things like that as well, which will be really kind of interesting to see how that plays out. But one of there's several different drugs that I have. They're called, like, there's Spirit, there's Twinkle, there's Liftoff, there's a thing called Rabbit's Foot, there's Void Juice and Red Mist. They all do different things. One of my favorite ones, Rabbit Foot. It's an injectable drug. And essentially what it does is, for 10 rounds, so an hour essentially in game time, you get a +4 to your attack rolls for the next hour in gameplay. However, because it's a drug, if it's made with intelligence or wisdom, you suffer a -1. The addiction rate on Rabbit's Foot is actually pretty high. It's a 20% chance you're going to get addicted to it. So how addiction rules work is essentially you roll a D100. So let's say I have a character, or let's say I'm the character. I took me some Rabbit's Foot, and I need to see if I'm addicted to it. So what I do is I roll my D100. I have a 20% chance that I'm going to get addicted to it. So if I roll a 1 through 20, I'm addicted. If I roll higher than 20, I'm good. Got it that time. I am not addicted, which is very lucky. Fairly certain that little beep's going to come through. Let's say I continue to abuse this drug because, hey, it gives me a +4. So the next time that I utilize this drug, it goes from 20%. If it's, over the course of, like, okay, it's been several months, like I think it's actually 6 months is what I wrote down here. Yeah, if it's 6 months to, after that point, you still have only a 20% chance. If it's anywhere within that day 1 to day, 5 months, 29 days, it's now a 40% chance that I'll be addicted to it. So let's say it's been 2 months. We're in another big, heavy combat thing. It's like, okay, I really need to get this going. I shoot it up. I, as the GM, will ask the player, okay, go ahead and roll it again. I am now addicted to that drug. Now, what the addiction for this particular drug, Rabbit's Foot, is called, here, let me show that to you guys. Show to everyone. There we go. So it just popped up. I'm going to move it kind of into the center here. Yeah, right there. Should be good. And also, nope, not that button. That. Yep, show to everyone. I'll pop the addiction rules up next to it here as well. So you can see that Rabbit's Foot has that 20% addiction rate to it. If you become addicted to Rabbit's Foot, you lose 3 points from your intelligence, your wisdom, and your charisma. So yeah, it's pretty brutal. Like, addiction's really brutal. Like, it's something that I wanted to play with in this game. You can also see in the rules there. So if a character took the dose, 25% becoming addicted to Liftoff. If he took Liftoff again the same day, his chances of getting addicted. Again, the GM would add 10 to his addiction roll. Oh, I guess it's only 10. So okay, yeah. So if it's like the third time. Oh no, it's okay. So yeah, no, it's every time you do it, it adds whatever the percentage amount is there. So you can see here the addiction. So you can't focus on your daily life without indulging in the habit you formed. You have become addicted to some relatively harmful substance. You suffer mentally, and you don't have access to the object of your addiction. Prolonged unavailability makes you irritable and difficult to work with. You may choose the nature of your character's addiction. It might even be psychological addiction. The effects are the same. Suffer -1 to all rolls if the substance is not available after 24 hours. If you are forced to go without for another 24 hours, you suffer -2 to Dex, Int, Wiz, and Charisma until you indulge your addiction. If you go 2 weeks without the substance, all of your affected scores drop by 1 point, but you're no longer addicted. if you can stay clean for 6 months, you regain all those lost points. So if I am the player, I'm just going to open up the Dark Sky one here, because I know I have access to that really easily as this player copy. So let's say, let's just roll some stats really quick because I just want to make this 3d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty shitty all the way around. Okay. So I got a 13, 13, 15, 14. Actually, it's not a bad character at all. 12 and an 8. I would probably do an expert. Actually, I know I'd do an expert, and I'd raise my charisma as my 14 there. Boop. There we go. Okay, so I have my character sheet made up here. I am now addicted to Rabbit's Foot, so all of my scores gain that -3 that it indicates there. So int, whiz, and charisma all get a -3. So int, whiz, and charisma all get a -3. So my base modifier for all of those, it shows you over there what it all is that. So that's just because I'm addicted to this particular substance. Now, going back in with the, you suffer a -1 to rolls, to all rolls of the substance if not available for the next 24 hours. So over the next 24 hours, that goes there, that goes there, there. Everything goes to another -1. So it's just the bonuses that interact. So it's pretty bad. Now, if it's another, then those ones even out, thankfully. So your strength, strength even out. Yeah, basically everything will even back out to where you have the -3s, essentially in everything except in, so your rolls will have another -2. So it's just the rolls. So it's just that is what happens, and that's how I'd rule it, to where you have the -3 and everything, and then when you do the assisted bonus, you just stick your negative value in there as well. But if you're able to stay clean for 6 months, everything goes back to normal. Which is super nice. But yeah, so that's a little bit about drugs in my setting here. It's what it is. They're a little on the brutal side, but it's drugs. If you've ever gone around Appalachian in the South, North Carolina, East Tennessee, things like that, you can see what drugs do to people. It ain't pretty. And I've seen a lot of that stuff firsthand. It's not the prettiest. But I guess I should. Actually, I'm gonna keep Rabbit's Foot and keep that in my own bag of goodies there, because they don't know what that stuff is yet. But I'll keep addiction up. That's a good rule to have available. I did finish up the first 4 names on my most wanted criminal list. Excuse me. So I have that set up. I have a couple adventures set up for him for when we start. You can see down here I have a token for our ship. We are going to be starting in Socrates, or as the people who live in the sector will call it, Socrates. I know Steve, the guy who's playing right there. Yep, there. Shiro right there. Boom. He's probably gonna give me crap about that, but it's how they're gonna pronounce it. It's the year 3200. They don't know who Socrates was by this point. There's been so many other philosophers and people that have done things that who cares about some Greek guy who lived 17 millennia ago at this point. Um, do do do, do dum dum. Let's see here, but I think that covers like the two really big factions for the most part. Talking about again Merchants of Linjor, the seven, the Council of Seven that controls them, just essentially all the leaders of everything. There's the Fang Syndicate, and they're essentially the 24 clans with the other two that are in there. I think the only other thing that I'd want to discuss and talk about would probably be one of the other factions, which is one of my shipbuilding factions, which is Silverbreak Multistellar here. They're kind of an interesting one because one of the things that they have is they have actually a pirate fleet that goes around and does things for them. They'll harass, really they harass the other ship manufacturers. Their captain of the pirate fleet, who they will admit up and down, and you'll hear about it in news presses all the time if players ever look up the news on their space, on their little tablets and things like that. It'll always be like, the pirates, these pirates attacked this outpost today, and we have a spokesperson from from Silverbreak Multistellar about these vicious attacks and what they plan to do to stop their man and make sure to curtail these horrible pirates and denizens of this fleet. And of course, it's going to be, we let this individual go many years ago now. He's done his own thing. He no longer has affiliation with it, blah, 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 blah. Everyone knows. I mean, it's one of those things like, okay, we got it. But yeah, everybody knows that, it's their pirate fleet. They're, one of the older ones that are out there. A lot of their ships, are very much... they have really nice ships, and they also have really shitty ships. A lot of their really nice ships are utilized in, like being sold out as, defense ships. They have a very good relationship with Mao Canova Defense, who does ship weapon parts. You can see them right down here as well, Mao Canova. And they have like I said, they have a good relationship with them. They have shops all over the sector as well, so it'll be one of those things that my people, my players, are going to be able to find parts and pieces for their ships pretty easily, I hope, to where they can, improve upon their ship. But yeah, it's been a pretty productive day in making of the game. I'm going to bring us back over to here, zoom that out, because I have another token to make. I guess I could show you guys how I'm doing that. It's kind of interesting, kind of fun. Let me see, I think with that. Great. This thing's being a piece of shit apparently. Apparently I can't minimize this screen because reasons. I don't know why. Let me just refresh the page. Maybe that will allow me to. Nope. Apparently that doesn't allow me to do jack. Jack didn't allow anything. Can't even change the. I can click that, but I can't do anything else. That's stupid. I hate this computer. I need to build a new one. That's really all it boils down to is, there we go. No, maybe. Come on, give me some other options here, you piece of crap. Okay, fine. Don't give me other options. I can do this. There. And then I'm going to come over to here. Yep, that's what I thought was going to happen. As I get pulled into the interminable void. that is my screens here. But I have a new thing, and of course this is going to be really great for the value, for production value of what I'm doing right now. Let me actually pull that back out because I need it actually over here, so I can get Andre's photo. Oh, I like his photo. His photo's kind of cool. Open image in new tab. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling a lot of the things that they're doing out into new tabs, and I have put paint over here. There we go. I have put paint.net onto my computer here. I'll pop it up over here. And I'm utilizing that. Yep, open. There we go. And here. It's actually really easy. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than what it was. Apparently I did that the wrong way. That's okay. Easy fix. Because I want to open you as a layer. I want that to go up on top. There. Just go ahead and make you bigger size. Let's go ahead and pull you up this way just a little bit. Don't want to mess up my spacing too terribly much because I don't have very much on that top area. So essentially you just got to pull it to the right size. And then I think I have to do this. So this is only going to be the fourth one I've made of these. Get that into the right area is what I have to do, which that's pretty much right on. So then you hit Control I, it inverts it. You hit delete, boom, gets that taken care of. Come over here, got to resize this canvas to 420 by 420, party on. There. So now I have that as the token that will be in use. I have this really cool sci-fi thing right here. I have to save it as here. His character's name is Wadan Nashir. So essentially I'm just bringing it here. Double A Wadan Nashir. Right there. Saving it as a PNG. Because if you don't save it as a PNG, it messes everything up. Yep. Flatten it. Go for it. Do the thing. Did the thing. I can exit out of that. I can exit out of that. I can pull that, actually, right back over here. There. There. Turn that over. So, as you can see, I have the other tokens that I've made right here on my title screen, which is pretty badass looking. I gotta pull Wadan's over. It will upload. And I gotta adjust him down to the right size, it looks like, which is right there. I can tell it to, like, his stuff, show the nameplate, make that represent his HP, make sure people can see that. Save changes. Let me pull Wadan's character sheet back up. Edit. You select a token. Save changes. And then anytime he pulls his stuff out, boom, right there. Wonderful. So yeah. Right there. Now one thing I was wondering about is if we do that and pull here. Okay, so it makes it super big. That's okay. It's easy fix. Maybe I'll just do this right now. See everyone's tokens. The right size here as well. I guess I could make them all the right size regardless, but that's okay. Nah, stop it. Whoa, his token's super fucking big to what everyone else's is. There. I might just make these all their tokens. That's probably what I'm going to do. So there. Yeah, I'm just going to change it to where their tokens are these normal sized ones here. Let's remove that. Yep. You selected. Save. Alright, button. There. Remove. Yes, I'm quite sure. You selected. Save. Andre. There. Yep. Wadon. Save changes. And then Steve. Wrong button. I always hit that one because I think that's how you should edit everything, apparently. There. Save. Beautiful. Okay. So now then, if I take us back over to the title screen, and yes, technically they still have control of that, but if you take that out of there, boom, puts their tokens right there where they should be. Awesome. So, there's all of that. Put that back where it's supposed to be. Let's see if... Yeah, it looks like that's still being a pain. I'm not going to open it back up. I'll just end the thing when I'm going to end it here. So then, if I take us back over to the game window, you can see that as it is. Keep that over here again. Apparently it wants that to be super skinny. I didn't tell it to do that, but whatever. Yay, computers, they're super handy when they want to be. There. I can actually pull you all the way over to here. There we go, perfect. So there. And then I can move that like that. Or is this showing my game window? That's showing my game window, isn't it? I think that is. Nope, it's not. It's showing over here. Good. I'm still getting used to OBS and how it's all set up. But, yeah. This is one of those things that I absolutely love doing. I know not many people... really love hearing about like how you make games and how the game is done up and everything. But it's the things like this, the hard work and the backbone that go into it that make these games playable and really enjoyable for not only me as the GM, because I enjoy everything that I do in these games, but it also makes it really enjoyable for my players. So it's always something that I'm looking forward to and looking to improve upon. But yeah, it should be really quite fun. And yeah, I'm still trying to get this Twitch channel thing to actually update and work the right way, because I can't do anything with it right now. Other than just have it there. But I'm really looking forward to playing this. I'm looking forward to starting up my 5th edition game, which I think with these games, the Stars game and the 5th edition game, I think they're going to happen on alternating weeks is what's going to happen. So we'll have a week of Stars, and then the next week we'll do the 5th edition, the Primeval Thule 5th edition game is kind of what I'm planning on doing. So I'll try and keep everyone updated on that. I know there's only a handful of you right now, literally 3 people that are following me. But hopefully this is something that we can really, get up and running and be productive with, and get a lot of things going with it. So I'm super excited to see what's going to happen with it. I don't like my here. That I need to change. There we go. Okay, happier. Never happy. Never happy with the way these streams look. But yeah, it's going to be interesting just to kind of see how this new venture and endeavor works. Hopefully it'll make certain other projects I've been working on more worthwhile. That way people can see what all my brand is all about. I think I'm gonna upload this one to YouTube. Once I get done here, I might load the other ones that I've done up onto YouTube. If you want, you can check those out. They are my previous posts. I should be able to get them uploaded without too much of a problem. But just keep on supporting. If you have local artists in your area, support them. If you have your GM, let them know how thankful you are for them running when they do. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Sometimes it's thankless work. Sometimes it isn't. But even the thankless work, it's still worth doing. But yeah, super fun. Peace out, guys. Keep keeping on. I'll see you around when I see you.